Welcome to the RETSY podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing John Mark Estes, a veteran in the industry, but first year at RETSY. So John dives into some of the tools he uses, shares some of the marketing. I learned a lot from this podcast with the number of phone calls and how much hard work he puts into his business and into his marketing to help sell his listings. So we're really excited for you to learn from John Mark Estes.
I look at social media as it's just like a constant reminder more for the people that you know, right? Like my organic growth hasn't gone from 1,500 followers to 150,000. Like I've got 2,000 followers, and I'm not in the game of chasing followers. I'm just in the game of staying relevant and staying top of mind. If I happen to grow organically, like that's definitely what I'm after, but it's not my number one goal of what social media is for me.
Welcome to the RETSY podcast. Today we're sitting down with the RETSY agent, John Mark Estes. Thanks for joining us today, John Mark.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we always like to start this, what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, so I've pretty much been in like a form of sales role my whole life. I started actually at Apple, so I worked at Apple. That's where I get a lot of my tech knowledge and tech base. But it's funny because now I'm like all Apple products, but all Google software. So interesting how it shaked out.
But they play nice together.
Yeah, they do now, at least.
Yeah,
Did you hear what's going to be powering Siri now?
What?
Gemini.
Oh, well, not surprised. Yeah.
Apple keeps on slapping Band-Aids on poor products.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then my dad has a car dealership. So I've been in all forms of sales since, the age of 18 years old. Car dealership, other things. I came from another industry where I thought it was, I had kind of just outgrown it. It was a lot of rob Peter to pay Paul. It's a lot of wild, wild west. And, when I moved over to real estate, I thought, oh, this is my chance to get into like a sales role where there's one legit way of doing things. Everything's kind of ironed out for you to find your way. Everything's legit. Then you come to find out that there's 99 different ways to do this business. And so I'm still kind of in the mode of figuring out exactly how I'm going to build mine.
So what drew you into getting into real estate?
I'd say the biggest thing, honestly, is like the car sales model, and it's changed now. So if people are in it, they might not get this, but it was always based on the profit that the dealership made on the car.
Yeah.
And if you think about real estate, we're making it on the overall sales price. And so at working with my dad, I'm thinking, one, I want to get some of the family benefit pay, but also just seeing how the business model was structured. It was like, that doesn't make sense for me if I want to be in sales with uncapped commission. I want to try and make as much per deal as possible. And so then I started looking at other avenues in sales that I could get into, and real estate seemed like a good one. I had people tell me my whole life, like, you've got charisma, you've got a good personality, it'd be a good fit for you. I don't think I ever really felt 100% comfortable putting myself out there as much as you have to in this business, especially now in the tech world.
You do a really good job of it.
I've grown into it, for sure.
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that, because you do a really good job with your social media and your marketing, like that Halloween postcard.
Yeah.
The Dracula, I want to sell your home postcard.
It's like a get out of your own head thing for me, right?
Sure.
Like when I first started, if you talk to people from my high school, I was the class clown. Like I've never been like an introverted, quiet person. I just have always been somewhat private about somewhat of my professional life. And so getting into real estate, then it was like, no, you've really got to put yourself out there when there's 60,000 or 82,000 active agents, whatever the numbers fluctuating between. Like you've got to figure out a way to be memorable and stand out. And for me, social media is kind of just the easiest constant way to stay in front of people that you know. And now that whole game has changed too, because you don't really have to get creative to get in front of new people. Every algorithm is trying to put you in front of strangers as much as it is in front of the people that know you already. So
yeah,
but yeah, I've definitely grown into that role in my business for sure.
I wouldn't have guessed that you struggled with that, because like,
go back to like 2020 to 2022 and look at my social media, because it's the same page, and you'll see it was very like just sold, under contract, just very like stiff agent, where for me it was like I was just finding myself,
You have to find that happy ground. I mean, I mean, we all know the post that gets passed around within the channels of RETSY of like how embarrassingly bad a post is, and then but it has to be engaging, but it has to be on brand, and it has to be on par, and it's got to make a seller want to reach out to you, So being in real estate and trying to do social media to be in front of the right eyeballs, I mean, it's a lot of work and a lot of effort to come up with content that's on brand,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's a whole another job. It's another hat in this role, right?
Well, and a lot of the problem is like you're having these coaches and these influencer wannabes that are just trying to get agents to do whatever they can get them to get videos that they think will go viral, and you're putting people in front of a camera that don't even want to be in front of a camera, that are very monotone and have bad ideas. But it's like when you find somebody that's refreshing like you, and I can name a few other agents, that it's just like their content's good and it's fun to watch, versus like cringy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's key. So where do you draw inspiration for that?
Yeah. I mean, I draw inspiration from everywhere. I'm a big like rinse and repeat, swipe and steal realtor. So agents in other markets, like we share some stuff that we see that have gone viral within our own like local markets and bounce that. I've even got a few like local agents that I've kind of piggybacked off of some stuff that I've seen that they've done that's trended very well too. And then with my like content manager and creator, we shoot twice a month, we batch it. And then we probably spend an hour and a half to 2 hour long call at the beginning of the month to plan everything out. And that's like down to outfits. We're kind of starting to incorporate. We're seeing that I'm getting a lot more feedback and engagement on like the skit style videos, which that takes a lot more production. That's actually the most cringy to me personally. Like not cringy, but just of like, I'm really showing up to be an actor today. I wanted to sell houses, you know, like I signed up for a different role than this, but it's just one of the hats we wear, you know?
You can't be a secret agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what attracted you to RETSY?
Well, so that conversation came about in an interesting way. I was at North & Co. brokerage before, so everyone knows they went through a merge and sell and everything. And so that kind of was sprung up on us pretty quickly at the brokerage. And so we had some time where we could go shop around. And I think the first person I spoke to was Jose. I think if I remember correctly, I spoke to him through a lender that connected me with him, Justin. And Jose had nothing but great things to say. I now know your story and kind of your guys' story together of how RETSY came about. And so Jose let me know how he kind of piggybacked on that ride, but how happy he was and how grateful he was to be a part of it. And then I had kind of heard the split or the minimums that you had to have as a solo agent. And so I was like, I don't even know if I could get in there. But being that my situation was unique, I was really close to that minimum, and I didn't really have a choice. I had to go somewhere. So we met. I felt like we hit it off great. I knew exactly what I wanted out of a broker from what I was getting from Michelle at North & Co. And I feel like, as we've spoke multiple times, like you have stepped in and been an awesome role for me. So from the broker side, like I feel like our meeting was a big part of it. And then also like I am tech-based, like you said, tech-heavy. And so what you guys offer tools-wise, like I've never batted an eye or blinked at what we're paying in our split level because I always see the value there, which that's the name of the game of going to a broker, right? Is you're going to have to find a way to see value in the splits that you're paying. And so,
well, the reality is when we look at an agent at RETSY, it's not just about their sales volume. It's kind of a threshold where it's like you got to look at, you know, where are they in their career? Where are they going in their career? What did they sell last year? And then, I mean, we actually have an AI tool that kind of can predict, you know, based on how long they've been in the industry and several other factors, like how well they'll do with the brokerage. And I mean, you're a perfect example of that, you know, bringing some luxury. What's up?
I was going to pull it up because you had an awesome year.
Yeah. Yes, dude.
I had a great year this year, yeah.
Clearly we were all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting ready to hold you to a stat too, or it might have been both of you, but the second year at RETSY is your best year. Yep. Statistically, according to this model. So this was my first year, so I'm ready for 2026 to blow up, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, typically we see an agent come over and it's the first 3 months is the shock of like trying to learn everything and the tools, and a lot of stuff is done for you in the background, but you do have the ability to just take the controls and do whatever you want with it. With you, I mean, I think you dove like right in, jumped into the ad tool and a bunch of other things, but that said, it's just like we look at the overall picture. And then, I mean, the most important thing, and this is the thing that we don't really talk about, is just culture. Like, do you fit in?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're done with the agents with huge egos that treat people like shit. Like, we want the agents that will encourage and help each other. I love it that any founder can call an agent and say, hey, John Mark, how'd you shoot that video? Or who'd you shoot it with? Or who did you use for this plumber on this house that you talked about in one of your posts? And it's just a sharing culture because a lot of brokerages, I mean, you got to remember their whole brokerage model, I mean, most of the agents aren't even there to sell homes. They're just there to recruit other agents.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, I mean, you're building up this base of mediocrity, and it's like, we want something different.
Yeah.
And I mean, looking at some of the new listings you've got, and I went to a broker open that like knocked my socks off. I think it was the best one I'd been to. And I go to every RETSY broker open, but your casino night, that's the best one I'd seen in a couple of years, dude.
Appreciate
so you
that.
should feel good about that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it was first class. I mean, that shouldn't have even been able to happen with the way it's at the top of this penthouse. And maybe you can talk about this listing. It'd be a good time to plug it. But
Yeah.
I'm like, parking was there. The guy guided me to the door. The lady handed me my casino chips and escorted me up to the penthouse. I mean, like, theoretically, I don't see agents working that hard to get top producing agents through. And then I get up there and there's all these top producing agents. I'm like, all I could do is give you a high five and a hug. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, kind of to go back to your question too, like that's definitely one of the things that also drew me into RETSY was like I wanted to get into a sandbox with high performing, high producing agents. And so that was something where when we met, looking at stats, knowing who you guys were attracting, knowing conversations that you guys were having as far as growth, it was just like all of that aligned for me. The Forbes sticker definitely doesn't hurt in all of our conversations, right? And that was the trajectory that I wanted to chase, was really raising my price point and trying to do, not to say less transactions, but just as much volume in a fewer unit count. So
Yeah. Do you know how much you're up year to date over last year?
up year to date? No.
we'll use the dollar
Is it
volume.
about
We'll use percentages.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
percentages.
Maybe 30-ish%?
52% year to date.
Okay.
That's a big jump.
On your sales volume?
Congrats.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
then units up 90%, 89%
Yeah.
on number of units sold.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
like,
And the quality of product's definitely gone up in average price point, I'm guessing, because I've seen it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Price point's gone up. Actually,
Yeah.
so yeah, to get into that listing or listings, actually it's interesting how it all came about. So it came about from a cold call as far as the relationship. It was a canceled listing in Paradise Valley Farms, and it was for their property that they were going to build themselves. It's a $14.5 million listing. I try and shoot for either 2 hours of calls or 200 calls a day. I'm as much as I'm tech-based, I'm also cold call-based as well. And so I was sitting in Industrious and Fashion Square at the time. I had 199 calls that had gone out. I had to hit pause. I forget why. And I saw it load up, $14.5 million. I almost didn't make the call. Like, that's the crazy part of the story. So then I ended up calling her. She was total sweetheart. Just, hey, call me back in 2 weeks, or, let's stay in touch, but now is not the right time. Kind of felt like she was just blowing me off, but whatever. So my rule is if people give you permission to stay in touch with them, cut it in half. So I called her a week later instead of 2. That led to multiple communications, and then I ended up selling that dirt lot for her. Well, come to find out, she's got a hefty portfolio here in Arizona. And so in that building right there, she's got 4 units. So she's got 2 of the penthouses, and then she's got 2 units below as well. So we'll be slowly trickling all of those to market over the next 2 to 6 months. It'll be a total of $13 million. But those 2 specific penthouses that you got to see at the broker open that we called Viva Las Penthouse.
Yeah. What building are those in again?
They're in Bridgeview.
Bridgeview.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Bridgeview.
just gorgeous. I mean, you're overlooking, Tempe, the mountains. The time in which you did the open house is a beautiful sunset,
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah, you
it's
got
like
A
you
mountain
can see
views.
yourself living there.
Yeah. You've got mountain views, Tempe Town Lake. You get to watch the planes take off. You're northwest facing in that unit that you came into. So yeah, that view is
And all the
one of
new
a kind.
restaurants going in down there.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple of buddies of mine that invest in just about every restaurant, but they opened, what was the latest one we went to? I mean, it was the same level of Steak 44. It's called Filthy Animal.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I think that's by the Wren and Wolf people, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have like 8 of them
Yeah.
locked in the chamber. I got to look at a prospectus recently, and they're just crushing it.
Yeah.
And the food is just amazing, but it's just like everything seems to be happening in that hub.
Yeah, and I mean, different from like the other project, because a lot of people have asked us too, like, what's going on with that other project on Tempe Town Lake? I mean, the biggest issue or the biggest difference that I would say is, in Bridgeview and Edgewater, you have, as you noticed, like very good parking and privacy, very secluded, but you're so close to everything, you've got the walkability. Whereas that project that's going on over there, it's going to be, to my understanding, 1 building that's a hotel, 2 that are condos, and 1 that's for rent with leasing. And so it's just a very mixed use situation, whereas like where we're at, it's very private. It's also an iconic building. That building's been there since early 2000s, before any of that glass went up on Tempe Town Lake. So some Cardinals players have lived there. Like, it's been a hot spot for a while, but as prices have gone crazy here, they've gone crazy there too. So
I've looked at a lot of penthouses. I still think that's pretty affordable for what you get there in comparison to other cities, other areas, even downtown. Like, I mean, that's a great spot. So.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to bring them.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we talked about attracted you to RETSY.
Previously before RETSY.
Yep. So I would like to talk a little bit more about like your marketing.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of really, really great marketing ideas. And it was something we talked about in the meeting.
Yeah.
In our first meeting, you wanted to make sure we were okay with being creative.
I do remember asking that now that you say that.
Yeah. And you gave me some examples. And one of them, I think you're dressed up like Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
I don't remember what the tagline on that was.
That one was... oh man, I've got them all in my Canva. I could pull them up. Like the most recent one, like the Halloween one that you saw, right?
Yeah.
That was Dracula.
Yeah.
And it was me, and I just use AI, and it was, I want to help you sell your home, right? So it's like, I also saw the Forbes and thought, okay, maybe there's a little bit less flexibility here. Maybe there's a little more compliance. But no, you guys have been great as far as...
As long as it's beautiful and kind of on brand, we allow full-blown creativity. I mean, before you'd come over to RETSY, we had this Catalina wine mixer open house where we photoshopped Nathan Anderson and Paul Nicoletti to look like stepbrothers.
Yeah.
I mean, but the second you hear it, and you're like, ugh, then the second you see it, but a lot of we have a couple in-house graphic designers, but their job is to protect the brand, but also make sure that we protect agents from themselves sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
But your marketing's genius, and like if Darian or Alex didn't like it, they would tell you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, and we've had some phone calls where, I'm very like intentional about being proactive to call them like, hey, I want to make sure you're protecting me from me, right? It's less about, hey, are you going to tell me no? It's like, tell me no if I need to hear no, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm somebody who likes to push the envelope a little bit, not in a way that's going to get me in trouble, but in a way that, again, kind of goes back to from a marketing perspective is memorable, right?
Yeah.
Like those mailers that you're talking about. So those I send out once every 3 weeks. So I heard somebody say rather than doing mailers once a month, the forgetting period is every 21 days. So just up it, you only end up sending out like an extra 2 monthly mailers.
Yeah.
But I do that to my sphere, and that's who gets like my really funny, comical stuff. And the first one that I did, I actually copied Mike Delina. And I did my face AI'd, where I paid through Fiverr before AI. So I was like, this is the first mailer I'm actually investing a decent amount of money into. Paid someone like $50 to make my face look like Happy Gilmore bending down to the ball saying, are you too good for your home?
Yeah.
Trying to get people to sell.
I did like that one too, yeah.
And so that was how it started. Well, I sent it to 150 people. I've been doing this since day one. And it used to be Cromford Market updates and this, stuff that we thought people want to see. I got like 15, maybe 20 people to take a picture of it and send it to me. And it was just like light bulb, right? That's what people want to see. And not only that, like that's who I am outside of a suit and tie, right? So they want to see who are we going to actually get to work with all the time and who are we going to be doing the deal with. And so those are to more people that I know, and then every past client gets added to that list. So like that's an example of the funny mailers. And then I've just kind of incorporated that into social media too. Like I look at social media as it's just like a constant reminder more for the people that right? Like my organic growth hasn't gone from 1,500 followers to 150,000. Like I've got 2,000 followers, and I'm not in the game of chasing followers. I'm just in the game of staying relevant and staying top of mind. If I happen to grow organically, like that's definitely what I'm after, but it's not my number one goal of what social media is for me. So yeah.
Well, and it's a great way to stay top of mind with that sphere by hitting them every 3 weeks like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like when somebody gets something like that, they realize you're going to market their home more creatively.
Yep.
You're going to think outside of the box. Most agents practice what we call the 3 Ps, which is post to sign, post it in the MLS, and pray to God that it sells.
Yep.
And honestly, like if I was to pull a stat out of my rear and probably be right, say about 90% of the agents do the exact same thing. Hire the same photographers, put it in the MLS, use ChatGPT for their descriptions, and then they don't get creative on marketing. And, I know I get a lot of compliments from clients and then also other agents within RETSY is like we have different methods to put eyeballs on our listings that other brokerages don't have. But taking it to that next level is what I'm excited to see out of you going on second year. If you want to double your business, like that's exactly how you're going to do it and stay top of mind. You got 2,500 some odd followers that know you, love you, and like your content. The question is, what if you clone them and find more followers, more people that love you and you're top of mind to them and will think of you when it comes to listing the home. I mean, the reality is we're in a business where if you're not in front of those people, I don't know what the exact stat is, but it's just like they just feel like you're out of the business. I've talked about this before on other podcasts where I have this ad that runs to all my past clients, my sphere, everybody in my phone, and I'll get calls from clients that I haven't talked to in 6 to 8 years, but they see the ad all the time, so I'm always top of mind, or I'll get referrals out of it. So vitally important. Like anybody listening to the podcast today, like just remember, if you're not staying in touch with your clients, John Mark will.
100%. I got fed my first own AdWorks ad from myself, like the one that RETSY runs for us. I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like I was excited to see it. So.
Oh, dude, you should have been in. We were in like a advisory board meeting and Shauna was like trying to understand how they find the people in the ad and this and that. And like we had the dictionary.com up on the wall or on the big screen because we were looking up a word and doing a deck. And then there was an ad for Shauna there. And she's like, how do they do that? How do they do that?
No, it definitely
But it was like
works.
a perfect example. Not only that, but I noticed we just started doing that campaign for the standards are higher here. I've been seeing it everywhere. Like, so it's clearly working. I use VPNs. Like I'm kind of off the grid online. And so, I mean, when they find me, it's like, little magic elves behind the scene are definitely doing their job.
Right.
Oh, that's for sure. Colton's busy.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize you did as much cold calling.
Dude, we got to dig into that.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Let's do it.
Some people talk about 554s and do a total of 14 calls and you do 200.
I mean, so it's a lot of canceled and expireds, right? So when you're talking 200 calls, we're talking like, I'll tell you the system. The system is essentially my plus leads is where I pay for the leads. I'm not a huge fan of free data, but even now, like a lot of the free data that's free that comes from title companies, they pay for it. So I try and integrate some of that, but I like the system that I have of like my plus leads is the source. That feeds into Mojo as a dialer, and then I use a triple line dialer. So I'm calling 3 people at one time, and people, if they call, they know what that is. I know some people that use like 17 lines, which is just kind of crazy to me. But it's just like anything in this game. It's a numbers game. And so when I started really figuring out like how do I want to build myself in this business, I felt like there was like we discussed, there's a handful of different ways that you can go. Having a newborn, having a wife, I felt like the easiest way. And if I could go back to like my early 20s and start in real estate, it's like just be out. Just go out and meet people, right? And I got a buddy who I envy. He just goes to JT's and gets a beer. Keeps himself cool as far as 1 or 2 beers, but he's walked out of there with $9 million in listings before, all in Arcadia. And so I think like being social and getting out, but as I had a newborn and a wife and feeling like that part of my life was getting a little bit tighter in the newborn phase, it was like, how do I play this numbers game at a high level? And the highest way to talk to as many amount of people was canceled and expireds. And I had that success story from this client who's led to the penthouses where that'll just give you that affirmation to keep doing it, right? So
anytime in a social environment, it immediately comes up. You ask them, what do you do for a living? They ask you what you do for a living. You have an interesting conversation. I play in a few golf tournaments a year with a buddy of mine that's also a good client, a good friend of mine. But it was just like every time we play in a tournament, I get a deal. And usually it's because they take you and that person that knows you will use you for real estate, but then they pair you up with this group for 9 holes for this day, 9 holes for this day, this. And it was just like, it was funny because the last time we played and we actually ended up winning the golf tournament. Matthew hasn't heard this story before, but I thought it was weird because I'm like, I didn't get any calls out of all those people that asked about real estate, this and that. And then out of the blue, I got a text about one of our listings on the Biltmore with a guy I'd played golf with. He's like, this is you guys, right? And I'm like, well, it's not really me, but the agent works with us. Do you want me to put you in touch with her? He's like, no, I want to work with you. Will you call her and see if it's still available? It was just like, just by doing a social event, something that I love, that I enjoy doing, you meet clients and you pull business out of it.
Yeah.
It also helps that like my buddies there is like, Chris knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking to buy a house or sell a house. So,
Yeah.
But that said, it's like a lot of our agents, when they're having a slower time, I'm like, switch the yoga class from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Or go to the gym at 5 a.m. instead of 9 a.m., or change it up a little bit, meet new people. So
Yeah.
vitally important in this industry. So
Yeah. Get strategic. I'm excited to, sponsor my kids' little league teams when they play. Or what I mean, right? Like some of these are just like easy layups, right? $150 for a banner in the outfield or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, get your name in front of as many people as possible. But yeah, so that's why kind of cold calling became such a strong part of my business. And now I've got my little spot. I hunker down in my home office. I put my headphones on. I hit play. The only thing that I don't like is there's not an actual dial tone. So you're kind of just sitting there waiting.
And all of a sudden, somebody's like, hello?
Which I like because you kind of have to be like watching the screen. But yeah, you'll see
Does it pull up the property and the info the
Yeah.
second the person's on?
Yep, it's got a link to go to the...
You use Mojo?
Yeah.
God, that was the gold standard like 5 years ago. So, I mean, they must have just totally like
And I've
improved
tried
the
other
product.
ones too, but it's part of, right, we're creatures of habit. So I keep going back to what I know. I know a lot of people, but it's also anything.
But the reality is you're calling expired listings, right? So they've tried the status quo, right? They called the guy from the TV commercial. They tried this, they tried that, but they've never had any innovative marketing. So how does that go, like with a conversation? Like,
I think for me, like in my client that I called, like that was like a 45-day ongoing process where she just told me multiple times, she was like, your superpower was to break down my guard on the phone, And so I feel like I do a good job of that. I feel like that's kind of like my biggest strategy is like, if they give me permission to call them back and they don't want to talk now, I don't press them. Like I mark them down, I'll call them back, right? Like if people call me, I take sales calls all the time. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just want to see what their pitch is, see if they've got something creative to say. But also if I tell you I don't have time and you keep pushing back harder, it's like, dude, respect it and just call me back. So I try and just like go down Mojo, canceled, expired. And my whole point is just kind of telling them like, my job is to come in and do something different. And kind of like how you guys said the 3 Ps, mine is like every realtor is doing the same thing. I want to come in and look at it of like, what's unique about the house? Who's the buyer that we're looking for, right? Like there's a general demographic, but then there's like the ideal buyer specifically for your house, right? Like I'm working another listing right now that backs up to a school, right? Within that neighborhood, we're probably going to try and look for a family that's not going to care about the kids' sound versus a single mom or a family that doesn't have kids that's like, yeah, we don't want to hear that 24/7, right? So I just try and focus on like the psychology behind the sale, the demographic of who we're going after, and I try and get strategic, and then also I tell them what they need to hear, which is a big part of it. It's with canceled and expireds. It's like, hey, I know that you were told it was going to sell at $750. I've got comps for as low as $650. And, and so it's like sometimes they don't like hearing that, but you'll get a call back because it's like, hey, you're the only person that actually told me that you were going to sell it for $100,000 less.
yeah.
And it's like I've got a handful of different stories like that.
They
too.
know they're being lied to. I mean, I've talked to several clients where it's just like we had the candid conversations. I had to tell a guy recently that his house is $1 million overpriced. And he's like, how can you say that without seeing it? So then I went and saw it. I'm like, no, maybe $1.2 million overpriced.
should have let me price it from my desk.
I fully expected him to tell me to F all the way off and hang up on me. But now, like, he's trying to hunt us down to list it in February.
Yeah.
So it's like, but they know. I mean, they have Zillow. They have different values. We have all these AVM tools. It's like, it's not really a secret. But I mean, walking in as an expert and saying, hey, you have $200,000 more in landscaping than all the other homes. This is what it's going to bring to the value. And the value you bring, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I showed you guys, I don't know if you're at the in-person rendezvous, but in our Real Reports tool, the CMA tool, is the first time in history I saw AI look at a kitchen of a photo I uploaded and compare it to other kitchens and make adjustments. That's life-changing.
Yeah, for
I
real.
mean, AI, right? So that said, it's like when we're getting into that, it's infringing on our expertise. So it's like we have to up our level of expertise on these homes. And, I know back in the real estate coaching days, I coached a lot of guys that called on expireds. And I mean, you just got to be a glutton for punishment sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
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 These are not happy people. They got 47 calls that morning, the day that their home expired, and like they're just fed up with it, realtors. But I had one guy, his whole strategy was I would just wait 5 days on anything that wasn't relisted. I just call them.
Yeah, and actually mine's 14.
14.
So I don't call anything that's fresh to market because my thought is I've the fallacy that everybody thinks the same way we do or that I do, right?
Yeah.
I fall victim to that. But I think if I'm going to relist within 2 days of being off market, I already have that agent picked out.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to them on the phone 24 hours after I cancel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I'm probably not relisting right away, and I need some time for that initial wave of phone calls to die off before I'm even willing to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I've found that die off is like right around 14 days. So if you start calling freshly expired listings but wait till week 2 of them being off market, some of them you'll miss because they'll go back to market. That's just the game I'm willing to play. I don't need every single one.
Yeah.
And then now I'm also trying to be more strategic of it of like, you can set in Mojo, you can set price point minimums, you can set zip code minimums or zip code parameters and stuff like that. So now I have all that set up too. So I can try and focus on continually raising the price point.
Yeah. Past client sphere, how often do you talk to them?
I try and call at least 10 of them every single week. I do that typically on Thursdays. If I can't call them or if I know that we both are going to talk for 2 hours each just because we're going to catch up, I'll usually send some kind of like text or voice message. I try not to keep it, or I try to keep it where it doesn't feel like it's not authentic. Like I'm not really a big fan of, hey, I was just thinking about you, but I have 5 minutes before my next meeting. Like I've heard of real estate coaches that say like, just call people and check in that way. I don't really like that. I like to try and keep it authentic. And
yeah, they got to be people you care about and want to check in on.
And like how I try and do 2 hours of cold call, I also try and do 2 hours of what I call mobile office. So just being out and about working somewhere. So I'll go to Trevor's and work at Tatum and Shea quite a bit and invite people to just come meet me there. Come grab a drink or, you know, the thing that I'm starting to see that I'm liking a lot more is like these little mini group events. So like getting the golf simulator for 2 hours and inviting some people for the first hour and some for the second hour. And so you get to play some golf, hang out, grab a pizza, grab a drink. So, but I'd say like, you know, once every 10 days, 2 weeks, I'm trying to stay in touch with everyone. I try and talk to them at least once a quarter. Every single past client is always the goal, at least once a quarter. On top of like them seeing my face on social, on top of them getting mailers. So,
which golf sim do you use?
Like the one at Trevor's.
Okay, the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I found this new one called Swing Shift. I really like. It's at like Shea and Scottsdale Road.
No, I need to go out to this one in Mesa called Tea Times. They saw my golf hype Instagram video.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, can you come make a indoor, you know, place look just as fun? I'm like, yeah, of course, you know. So
I was messing with one of my buddies. I'm like, hey, do you want to go play Augusta this weekend? It's like immediately he calls me and I'm like, well, it's on a golf simulator.
Yeah.
But
Why not? Why not?
But it's like playing.
Theoretically, he would have probably chartered us a private jet to go play. But I'm like, but it's still fun. Yeah, no, it's a great networking way to, and you know, it's like, and you meet people in these sims.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
People in there are so cool. They're all golf fans.
Yeah, and they're blowing up. I mean, I had a buddy from California recently that was like, hey, we're going to open a few of these if you do any commercial. And also, do you want to invest? I'm like, these things are popping up like crazy, which with how expensive golf has gotten, like.
Yeah. Well, and
knows,
then also
you know?
Arizona in the summer, it's kind of miserable to play golf on I don't care if it's 8 a.m. in June.
Yeah.
Like, but you can hit the sim for a couple hours and kind of get your fix and play indoors. Yeah. They're extremely popular.
And there's limited country clubs that are, you know, reasonably affordable still too, right?
Yeah.
So that's
or if you
an
want to
option
wait
for
14 years or whatever it is now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, it's amazing how the valley's grown. Like, you know, when we joined one of our clubs, it was like, they're like, we'll finance you for free. You can give us X amount per year for 5 years. And like, they just couldn't get enough people in the door with pulses to pay monthly fees. And now it's like, I'm like, I have a really good prospect for the club. And they're like, well, if you really want to put them on a wait list, it's 14 years.
Is that Paradise Valley?
Arizona.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. It's kind of making some of the clubs, like Tanya Hoffman and I were talking about this, but like some of the clubs that just come with a membership, I think the values of those homes are going to increase substantially because they come with a membership.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, look at the cost to join Silverleaf, the cost to join PV. I mean, I was talking to one of my clients where he's like, I got in at Phoenix Country Club, but still, it's amazing how it's gone up so much.
Yeah. I mean, they said after COVID or like during that phase where that was the one thing you could do outside for a long time, right? They said rate of play went up by 3,000%.
Oh, yeah.
The people going out to play. So, of course, with that pricing, and I talked to Troon North one time because they had half the tee sheet filled. And I was like, why are you guys doing that? They're like, we charge twice as much and have half the sheet fill, and it's less damage on the course. Like, wow.
Genius, actually.
They're figuring this out, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think golf here has always been like a haven, but COVID just put this place under a microscope. And so it was like, oh, affordable, gone. Affordable, like everything's just kind of been, you know, grabbed. And now Arizona is just like, we are on the map. Like, people are flooding in here. So,
yeah.
Well, that's a great segue to where do you see the market in the next 5 years?
5 years? I actually think next year I'm super excited for next year. I think 2026 is going to be a strong year. I was just reading that Arizona is going to be considered one of the new 1 trillion infrastructures. Have you guys heard about this?
I have not.
So it's basically anytime a state or community, whatever, contributes this over $1 billion, they start to call it like a 1 trillion infrastructure. And so it's everything from TSMC plant to the highways. There's like a $95 million thing that they're going to do to expand the I-10 even more. So I think what they're saying is between tech, jobs, and it's like when you go back to what's the number one thing we hear people complaining about with affordability right now is that jobs haven't kept up with home prices.
Yeah.
So I think if you have this infrastructure coming out here where big companies can come and they can bring in more jobs and bring in more salaries, now all of a sudden that starts to play catch up. So to go back to your question, like I think if this 1 trillion infrastructure, if all of this goes through the way that it's, you know, looking like it will, then in the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, could we double again like we did in COVID? I'm sure we could. Who knows? I mean, I always go back and forth as a native, right? Of like, at a certain point, what's the ceiling for a 1,500 square foot house in 85251 on an 8,000 square foot lot? I thought it was 700,000 until we busted through that. Now it's like $1 million. And it's like, how long before people keep paying that price? But at the same time, like, we're just so affordable still compared to so many places that, you know.
Well, we talk about this. I mean, our buddy Jason with Archify, he does BIM modeling. So a lot of times when like TSMC's coming in, they want to add a auxiliary factory, or like let's say they're planning on building a baseball field, they got to do an exact BIM model, which is basically like a CAD model of everything. And then you got to do it to a certain degree to know exactly how many corners you need on pipes or how many feet of certain lines and certain wires so that you can bid the project and you can send it out. So I kind of look at it as like the canary in the coal mine. If he's busy and doing bids for all these big projects, you know they're coming.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to him yesterday. He said we bid 180 projects last week.
Wow.
And I mean, his average projects, I mean, they're just huge. So that said, it's like, I mean, not all of them are in Arizona, but it's good signs when people are getting BIM models.
Yeah.
That brings in then architects and then concrete guys and electricians and HVAC, and it just brings so much. So, although I do have a very good friend of mine that does a lot of concrete pumping, and he said residential concrete pumping has slowed down, except for like he's doing like these gigantic homes on huge mountains where they need strong concrete pumps. But the commercial side's picked up quite a bit. So
Yeah.
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the track builders are not using as many concrete pumps, but kind of feel like they have to, right?
Yeah. I don't know. The most recent article is now they've got communities on pause because of water, right? But
Well, that's true too, yeah.
I haven't dug in enough to see if it's actually true, but I'm just too cynical to believe it. You know, they're giving 30-year loans. I don't think we're running out of water. The bank's job is risk mitigation, right? Like they wouldn't give you a loan on a house if they thought it was going to run out of water.
Yeah.
No. Well, and we've brought in, I think this is even before your time, but we brought somebody into RETSY like 3 years ago from Central Arizona Project that talks about our water supply and our 100-year supply, what we have underground, what we have coming in. And like, you know, there's no water restrictions within Arizona.
Yeah.
For a long time, everybody was talking about a Wall Street Journal article that was kind of sideways written because they were talking about certain sub-communities outside of Arizona. But that said, it's like we have plenty of water here.
Yeah.
Like, and the people coming here, like they're under this impression because we're in this desert. But, I mean, they're replenishing the aquifers nonstop. I remember I had some friends that were real estate agents from California in town, and they stopped by my house, and I have a large irrigated lot in Arcadia, and they're doing irrigation. Keep in mind, they just came from California, where they're not even allowed to have their sprinklers on for more than like 2 minutes, or they're not even allowed to have grass in their front yards in Long Beach. And like they walk up and like there's this gigantic lake on the right side of my walkway and on the left side of my walkway. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm replenishing the aquifers so we can make sure that we continue to have water.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no lack of water here. But there are some areas where they're restricting. I know I had a client call me. He's like, what if we bought this land, just built the lots out, put in the infrastructure, put in all these water meters in a rush and just held it? I'm like, I don't know. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is South Valley, just past Maricopa.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, probably genius, but I don't know that I'd spend $10 million that way right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Could do really well, and maybe it all gets sorted out and no need for it.
that'd be a good person to bring back on the podcast. Is the cap lady.
Yeah.
Since she's on the project.
As you were saying that,
Ever give us an update?
Yeah, we need to bring her back into a RETSY rendezvous.
we do. Yeah, that was a really good talk she gave, and I mean, really informative. And that was 2-3 years ago. So an update would be
And she
good.
kind of got eclipsed by Michael from Forbes, because Michael had just gotten hired from Forbes and flew into town. And
Yeah.
that was the newer in the relationship with Forbes, and people are still learning about the brand and what they bring to the table and everything. So we got to bring her back.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep that article that you're talking about was that about Rio Verde?
Yes.
Yeah. I forget the agent. I wish I remembered who it was. I could give the appropriate credit, but at Arcadia Home Tour, Luxury Home Tour, I forget which. He kind of like poked a lot of holes in that article.
Oh, it's Corey Mishkin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Corey's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
Corey is awesome, and how like is written, like all news media, like total scare tactic.
Yeah. Clickbait.
Fear mongering. Yeah.
Fear mongering, clickbait, and like the punchline I'll just never forget is like the buyer was well aware when purchasing the property that to get water to the property involved, the plan was have Cletus drive up with the water truck because it's on hauled water. Like, I mean, that property wasn't connected to water.
Yeah.
Like they had water tanks and you had to get water hauled to the property.
Fully disclosed. It's still that way.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually a really nice area of the valley.
It's gorgeous.
Which
Yeah.
blows me
Yeah.
away that they haven't put in the infrastructure they need there.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah.
I mean, the irony is you have a shared well out there. You're hitting water at like 70 feet or something like that. So it's not even that deep.
No,
So,
yeah.
I don't know what I don't know what it is, but
yeah, it was just they wouldn't let them put a well in, but they let them truck in water.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm an agent, I'm kind of steering them a little bit away from that idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had some people that bought like during COVID, because I think it was around COVID time when all that
Yeah.
stuff with the water in Rio Verde was going on. And he was like, he actually was kind of one of the ones that didn't have a clue. He was unfortunately like not represented well. It wasn't me. And he basically was like, I didn't know. And the settlement at the end of the deal was that they would get a free tank dropped on the property, but technically they were supposed to get their own tank and work their own deal out. And so then he was bummed because this gorgeous home that they just built, now when you pull up, you have a water tank that you see.
Well, in the disclosures, they would just mark like private water company. So it's like you almost had to know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's probably a lot of lack of disclosure in that area.
And that's probably like a little pocket area where an example of like, especially in a tough market where things are moving fast, like using somebody who knows that specific geography is key, you know, like because people that lived out there prior to the boom, they knew all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and it's acting outside your geographic area of expertise, like where you can get in trouble as an agent when you don't know those things.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing. You drive by those two beautiful grassy green golf courses getting tons of water.
Yeah.
Literally a mile and a half and you have no water.
Yeah.
So, all right. So do you want to do the 10 years?
Time machine question?
Let's do it.
Let's do the time
I'm
machine
kind of
question.
curious.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
Here we
so
go.
magic time machine. You can go forward in time 10 years or backward in time 10 years.
Okay.
You get to talk to yourself for 1 minute. Which direction are you going and what are you going to tell or ask yourself?
That's deep. I feel like that's a deep question.
It's a very deep.
All right. Let me think. Would I go backwards or forwards first? I'd probably go backwards.
Okay.
And then it was, if I could only talk to myself for a minute, what? Just any advice?
Yeah, what would you tell yourself? So if you're going to go back in time, talk to John Mark 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What would you tell him?
Slow down. I would say slow down a little bit. Like, I've always been somebody, actually, I watched a couple podcasts before this just to kind of also get some of the flow. And one of them was Jose's. You told your story about your dad and how patient he is.
Oh, yeah.
I need some of that. I need some of that, like, slow down. Everything worked out over the last 10 years. So going forward, it would probably be like looking back and saying the same thing. Everything worked out. Like, so coming back to that, like, slow down. I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of trust in myself. I'm just very much an impatient person who wants to just go 24/7. Having a kid has definitely slowed that down some. And so now I'm trying to be more intentional. So that would be my answer. I'd go back and say, slow down.
That's a good one.
I like that. Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you finish Twice?
I did. That was great.
Who's the author of Mitch Albom? Album or something? There's a book called Twice out right now. I think everybody should read it. It's awesome. Like, first of all, my wife gets it, and I come home and she's like crying every time she's reading it, or she's super happy, and I'm like, all right, this one seems a good one. So she's like, you got to read it. I'm like, I don't have time to sit down and read. So we're fly fishing in Alaska. So I got my Meta glasses on, and I'm listening to the book on Audible, and I'm like, this is the greatest book I've ever listened to. Like, I would totally actually sit down and read this book if I could ever find time. But Twice is, he has the ability to tap his leg and say the word twice and go back into time in any moment that he can remember. And he goes back to repair relationships, does different things. I don't want to give away the whole book.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like this whole thing of like, almost don't want to go back in time. But it's got a great ending. And like, if you read it, you're going to be like, Chris, okay, thanks for the recommendation.
Okay, I'll go read it.
I forget where Kelly got it. Probably off of like one of Jenna Bush's like shows in the morning or something. but it was a great book. Like, yeah. So.
It is a great book, and it's going to be made into a great chick flick movie for sure.
Yes. I can't wait to see the movie.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, book or movie? I'm like, I always like the movie better.
Yeah.
Like, I like to have some interpretation because my mind thinks differently. Like, I had this place in like the 60s, and all of a sudden they talk about the inspector bringing out an iPad, and it just ruined my whole like thought process for the whole movie. So, all right.
That's a great answer to the time machine question.
Awesome. Good.
One of the other questions we always like to ask is, what's your favorite RETSY tool?
Ooh.
Can be people, can be tools.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the people, obviously, we make our brokerage killer, so there's nothing. I just did my first cross deal with Lonnie and Kara.
Nice.
That was butter smooth, no issues. So, I mean, we were both even complimenting each other the whole way, which I think, like, one, you do that when you work with any good agent, but, like, to have that be my first cross deal and to have it live up to all the expectations that I knew that it would, that was super exciting. But otherwise, I'd say, like, I feel like we have a little bit of a back and forth with them, at least me and them, but lofty. I really like the tool.
Yeah.
I've had some fun with their pay-per-click ads, but I think that's a different story because I think pay-per-click's kind of going in a different direction now with AI. But otherwise, tool-wise, I'd say that thing is pretty in-depth as far as a CRM. I try and use all of them, though. I do use RETSY or ReChat quite a bit, so try and use that. I had used Flowdesk prior for my email campaign, so I'm kind of slowly starting to work those into ReChat. But yeah,
I love Flowdesk, but man, that ability for that AI tool to identify the agents that sell around a listing.
Oh yeah.
Like, nothing drives me more crazy than when I get like a rental request out of like Williams, Arizona, where I'm like, you sent this email out to 43,000 agents?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, now it's like, okay, you got a listing in Tempe. It just shows you all the top performing agents. So you can send it to 600 relevant people versus 41,000 people where most of them won't care.
Yeah.
So.
And he's a big advocate for ReChat too, and AdWorks, as he said that to me while we were at the Broker Open on the balcony. He goes, oh yeah, dude, look at this view. All the agents that work around here, you got to hit ReChat, you got to hit AdWorks. I'm like, this guy's out here working. Let's go.
I'm always pushing the tools.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the reality is, like, before we even negotiate a licensing agreement on any of these tools, it's like, I've used them.
Yeah.
Like, and then I force my advisory board to use it.
Yeah.
And like, if I can get all the sign off from them, I'm like, I know it's going to be successful. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, do you remember? I was like, we have to sign this contract immediately and like get this over. And like, they're agreeing to all of our terms and non-competes and this and that. And they were just like, okay, Chris, slow down. And then when I showed them, they were like, yeah, this is a good tool.
Yeah.
Like, and then we got it, and I had to redo every single template in that library.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
I wanted it bad if I'm going to put that many hours into a tool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we're getting pretty close on time.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you?
Um,
Email, Instagram, everything, phone number?
Easiest way is social media nowadays, but you can find me the same at everything, just at this guy sells AZ, no hashtags, underscores, so just this guy sells AZ. Kind of goes back to the marketing
Sells AZ.
scheme of like if somebody wanted to pass out my card, like, do you know someone? Yeah, this guy. Or, you know, I know a guy. Who? This guy. So
or they could just fail with another agent and you'll call them immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Wait 14 days of that call.
At that point, I'm that guy. You know? So, but
it's
yeah,
always fun to be second in line on some of those. So,
yeah, I like it. I like the challenge too. And I always say I've got that dog in me. So I like the hunt. I'm a bloodhound. So I like to go hunting. And then once you get the listing and everybody's already seen it, then getting the buyer as the second part of the hunt is fun. But yeah, at this guy sells AZ. Phone number's 480-249-6400. Sounds like a business. That's my business number. So give me a call, send me a DM. Let's work.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your tools and some of the equation to your success.
Yeah.
So
Big
and
part
all the
of
hard work.
big part of the equation is you guys. So thank you guys for what you do. Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Yeah.
That wraps up this week's episode of the RETSY podcast. Thanks for listening. Check out the show notes to connect with John Mark. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a moment to leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. And please subscribe so you never miss what's next. Next week, Chris and Matt are sitting down with RETSY agents Chad Clock and Cheyenne Coleman of Emery Lane Homes. Here's a sneak preview.
So we've frankly kind of cut down a little bit on the projects, but they've also become much bigger projects, much more substantial. I think our next 3 or 4 houses now coming up are $3 million, 5.5, 5.75 million, 10 million. My partner just sold his for 7.65. I'm selling mine for just under 10. So it's, since right before the pandemic, it's just, as you guys know, it's just exploded.